and or just say we did it, like we won.
Yeah, he's gonna claim success. He's gonna do the George Bush. He's gonna have a big banner that said "Mission accomplished."
Right. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Blue Sedition podcast. I'm Nate Brady, alongside a member of where'd you say you were from? Tren de Aragua, Mike Smith.
Antifa, Tren de Aragua, whatever. They're the same.
I mean, come on. Welcome. How's it going, Mike?
I'm doing about as well as everybody else, which is not good. Nobody is doing well today. We've got a lot of cover here, but it's not going well.
The stock market's up. The Dow Jones is up like 1,000 points, right? I mean, I looked this morning.
It started that way.
Wait, what happened? What do you mean? It was up 1,000 points. Everything's great. Let me just type in Dow Jones into the search bar. Down 800. What happened? What happened? Is this something we should be talking about?
This is what we're going to talk about. It's our first story today.
Oh, okay.
So we're just going to jump right in.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear the banter and all that. No, they just want to hear what's going on in the world. So what do you got?
I got tariffs on China have been set to raise to 104% at midnight tonight, according to the White House.
So tariffs, aka the tax we impose on ourselves to import goods from other countries,
yes,
are being raised over. So somebody showed the president of the United States that percentages can go above 100%. Is this?
That's a good point.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. No. So I mean, if you were an American, as a hypothetical, and you really enjoyed all of that, what do they call it? Dropship style crap you can buy on Amazon or Temu or whatever. I mean, you're just gonna double the price of it. So I hope that doesn't deter anybody.
Okay, so I guess it makes sense. So the market must have done this today, and the market has reacted, and he's saying
it's definitely done reacting. The market's not going to react anymore to tariffs as the time moves forward.
Well, the good news is that the tariffs didn't even go into effect today. They go into effect tomorrow, April 9th. So there will be even more. So the Dow, as I understand it now, with 800 down today, is down something like 4,000 points in the. It doesn't matter, right? Because money doesn't mean anything, but it actually does have an impact on the world, I guess.
Yeah. The thing that I think that most people, I don't think that your average American understands what the tariffs are actually doing in principle, and I don't know how anyone can be moving merchandise like this at present. Like if you're a drop shipper on Amazon and all you're doing is getting cheap Chinese crap imported, and then selling it again, because that's how drop shipping works basically. I guess you're paying those tariffs at the time of import now, and you're going to have to pass along those costs to the end consumer. So does that just mean like nobody's buying any of this stuff now, or do they see that the thing that they bought, say it's a pair of shoes or something, right? That they bought a pair of shoes 6 months ago. They're going to buy the same pair of shoes or very similar pair of shoes now because they need them, and they're twice as expensive. Does anybody see that yet?
I mean, I don't know that they're going to see it. Well, here's the thing, right? So prices were already raised prior to Trump even taking office in January. Right. We talked about this in maybe 10 weeks ago in one of our episodes, where companies were already preparing for tariffs. But let's explain how if you don't know how capitalism works, these companies rose their prices in preparation for tariffs. Y'all got accustomed to those prices and paying that, right? They're going to raise prices again, and they're going to profit on this either way. Now, the problem is going to be that the number of units sold is going to shrink for all of these companies to whatever it is, iPhones,
Sure.
Android,
Sure.
whatever it is. Okay. And to make up for that, in order to make the investors happy, they're going to have to find the balance of, okay, how much more can we increase the price to make sure profits stay the same or go up? Obviously, profits always have to go up and to the right for their investors, even if we sell fewer units. So the people that quote unquote can afford it are still going to be burdened by this huge price increase. I think I saw somewhere iPhones, like the newest iPhone, it would theoretically, this price increase would go from 1,100 to like 1,500 or something absurd like that with the new iPhone.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So no, you're not seeing the impact of these tariffs, like I don't think today, although we are kind of. We saw companies already raising prices. We're seeing that inflation is no longer slowing down. And you're going to see probably within the next several weeks companies announce price hikes as a direct result of these tariffs. We've already seen the Nintendo Switch 2 say that they've halted pre-orders due to the tariffs.
Yeah. Can't even get on the list.
You can't get on the list just because of, well, they have to go back to the drawing board as far as pricing goes, because this is going to affect the models that they currently don't have in production, and then also the models that are going to be imported into the United States. So,
right. Which they mainly all are. In the case of the Switch 2, they're all manufactured in Japan. So, right. I mean, it's not the China 104% tariffs, but it's still quite high, and to the point where Nintendo said, can we sell to the US? Like, are we losing money this way? Should we just wait?
Yeah. And then
I think that you're right. There's going to be a lot of companies who are going to be like, what if Trump has like, the greatest dinner at a Japanese restaurant and he lowers the tariffs on Japan next week, because he, flies by his emotions. He's crazy.
Was the 90-day pause like fake news? There was, we had this whole he's obviously realized how stupid he was. I think the market reacted.
Was that just with Mexico and Canada though?
I thought it was everyone but China. So let's get our information straight here.
Let's square this away. And while you're looking that up, I just have a couple of quick tidbits about China here. In 2024, the U.S. imported approximately $439 billion worth of goods. They primarily were electronics, machinery, furniture, textiles, apparel, footwear, plastics, and rubber. So a lot of like end grade consumer goods. You wouldn't expect this to be like minerals or metals, things like that. And you touched on a little bit ago about like companies that would be seeing that sort of problem. You can imagine like American-made auto manufacturers might be being hit by tariffs on imported steel, for instance. But that's not apparently a concern with China specifically. It's just all this consumer grade garbage that people buy.
I got duped, and I haven't even
seen. You got fake news.
I haven't even seen this come across multiple. We're following kind of multiple news sources and things, and I haven't even seen this come across. Trump, the 90-day tariff pause was a rumor. And this was part of the whipsaw.
It says a misquote claim that President Donald Trump.
Yeah, so let's see. A misquoted claim that President Donald Trump is considering a 90-day pause on his far-reaching reciprocal tariffs is fake news, the White House said Monday, as Trump champions. What I mean.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, he's clearly not pausing it, but the other thing though is that he would say that even if he did say it, even if Trump was like, I'm definitely having a 90-day pause, then today he's like, I never said that. You all made that up. That's fake news. That's
but I mean, what's interesting is this came out on Monday, which again, I haven't seen it, right? This came out yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting that the market was reacting to that news this morning. That's why the Dow was up 1,000 points until they were like, but never mind, but China is going to be 104%. So in actuality, all of the tariffs are still in place.
So what was the bounce from this for everybody? Just so we're clear, when the markets opened this morning, the Dow Jones was up like 900 points. So like every stock trader in America thought everything was going to be great. And then a few hours later, when Trump announces this 104% China tariff, the stock market's bottomed out. It's basically moved 100% in the other direction. But yeah, I'm wondering what the big bounce was for.
I mean, I think most analysts agree that there was optimism in tariff reductions with key trade partners and negotiations, and that quickly, as particularly China, especially China, they thought that this wouldn't happen. This 104% bump wouldn't happen, and it turns out, well, there's a maniac in charge.
There's a horse in the hospital.
Yeah, there's a horse, and he's loose in the hospital.
It's one of my favorite bits.
So
so there was a quote. I know what you're talking about here. I'm trying to figure out who actually said this, but it was something like China has to make a deal, and they want to do it, but they don't know, what it will take to make the deal happen. You know the quote I'm talking about?
No.
Oh yeah, here it is. I'm trying to figure out who this is. So this is Leavitt, I believe, Leavitt.
Yeah, that's the press secretary.
Right, press secretary. She says the Chinese want to make a deal, they just don't know how to do it.
Right.
Countries like China, who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers, are making a mistake. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break.
I mean,
how do the workers factor into this? What kind of statement is that?
No, China.
What kind of deal are they trying to play at?
No, there's no deal. They obviously they're consistently talking out of their ass. China has made it very clear that they're not kidding.
They're just going to mirror the tariffs.
Yeah,
they said that.
Yeah,
they didn't use the word reciprocal because they're not stupid. They said we will mirror the tariff imposements that you make.
Yeah.
And then Trump, in his wisdom, then says, like, you're attacking us. I'm going to triple them now. And they're like, we're just going to put the same tariff number up. What are you doing? Okay, I want to get back to it because I think that the thing that goes sort of either misunderstood or not said or something about all of this stuff is how it does impact American workers.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, we're talking about these companies. They've got profits that they have to, they're working towards. They've got shareholders in many cases that they've got to respond to. And so a lot of the time in situations like this, the only way to remain profitable when these tariffs are such a big player in your company is by doing layoffs. Right.
Okay.
Because you can't make more product and you can't do it cheaper. So what do?
Well, we already
lay people off.
We already had Stellantis furloughed 900 auto workers immediately due to these tariffs. 900. Yeah. And there was a survey, a CNBC survey, that said 37% of CEOs surveyed anticipate layoffs as a direct cause of the tariffs in 2025. So can we just recap here? Tariffs is a tax on American consumers. And we've increased tariffs an insane amount across the board, all countries, including ones that we don't even receive imports from, where just penguins exist. Okay. So now the average consumer household is going to be spending a lot more money per year due to these tariffs on consumer goods, food, etc. At the same time, we are deporting migrant workers who are collecting, who are doing jobs like gathering food and produce, etc. They're doing other jobs to assemble parts in factories, right? That were imported from these other countries. So we're eliminating that use of labor in the United States, and now we're laying off workers, which I assume are legitimate U.S. based citizens. So tariffs, deportations, and layoffs combined, what the hell do we think is about to happen?
Well, I think the most conservative view would be that we are headed for probably one of the biggest recessions we've seen in the last 20 years, but
I
that's
mean,
the conservative
yeah,
view.
I
I
mean,
think the more
100 years.
realistic view is that you might be looking at an incoming depression if they don't quickly right the ship.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll point out as well, because I think that this is relevant, that the Trump admin had been touting at the end of last week about the jobs report that came out. Actually, I guess it came out yesterday. Excuse me. And they were talking about how we added 228,000 jobs. They forecast that it was forecasted to be about 140,000 jobs added, and they overshot that. 228,000 obviously is better. Employment rate ticked up slightly to 4.2%. It went up by like 1/10 of a percent. It's not that bad.
I mean,
They were using this to say the tariffs are working and blah 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 blah. And they're like, this is the jobs report for the first quarter. The tariffs were announced and enacted after the first quarter.
and
These jobs reports don't have anything to do with the tariffs yet.
and also, I don't want to put, I don't want to use the Republican playbook here, but sometimes you have to. How do we even trust these numbers? I mean, they're who's putting these numbers together? Who's vetting these numbers? And then if the White House is releasing them, there's no way they weren't massaged, right? So
Sure.
I don't know. I truly don't know. I'm actually asking that question because it's always been something
Yeah,
that
it's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it is a government group.
okay.
It's supposed to be independent of the admin, but
Oh,
as we're
sure.
seeing from the Elon everything,
Yeah.
like you said, it has definitely lost the sense of legitimacy or credibility because he's got his tentacles in all branches of the government, and we saw that with the takeover of Center for Peace or whatever it was called. It's like they literally came in with armed guards to try and take over the building because they were refused entry. So I don't know. I think that I want to believe that the Department of Bureau and Labor Statistics is just it's regular. I mean, we do a jobs report in this country every quarter. It's been done for that way for a long time. I want to believe it's still legitimate, but I'm with you that it's sort of they've lost a lot of credibility.
Right.
Not the bureau specifically, but just like the whole government and
yeah.
everything, even touching it's
Right.
It's like they've got their stink on everything, and
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
can we trust? Can we trust this?
Don't know who or what to trust anymore. So yeah.
Right.
I mean, so I think another thing that you wanted to talk about today, but somewhat related to this, is that there is at least now a group, a bipartisan effort in Congress to put a stop to this. I can pull it
Well,
up
I mean,
here.
it's like you and I were talking about, like, I think you're right, probably like 10 or 20 episodes ago at this point, where we're like, the people with the money, they they're gonna have their say. They're gonna and the
Right.
government better do it right, or this is gonna
Right.
have a problem. And I will say that Trump coming into this second term, he had a lot of big money people behind him pushing that campaign forward. Obviously, Elon is the most visible of them all, but there were tons of companies and heads of companies who were championing him on because they thought it would be good for the economy, good for their bottom dollar
Right.
at the end of the day, right? Well, you make it bad for their bottom dollar for a few weeks like this, and it's this bad every day.
Yeah.
They're no, even your MAGA Republicans in the House aren't going to vote against you.
I
You're
mean,
gonna have
what?
trouble.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes that has come out recently, and we posted it to the Blue Sky. Let me see if I can find it. Was
Yeah,
in the Rolling Stones magazine. Here it is. Here it is. I'm not willing to go public yet, but I will say this. I don't know if I would be this worried about what will happen to the economy if Bernie fucking Sanders were president. One big Trump GOP donor says. That's how bad this is. A Trump donor said basically, I think I'd rather have Bernie Sanders right now.
I, so this is completely tangential, but I think it's interesting. You and I are obviously politic freaks. We love this stuff. I mean, we hate what's going on, but we love to talk about it. We love to theorize and and just play at politics and things like that. And I think that a growing sentiment amongst people younger than us, at least from my experience, is one of accelerationism, where they're like, you know what? I kind of hope Trump burns everything down, because what do I got going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if that's the pendulum swing that we're seeing here, of like Trump voters being like, man, this guy set $2 trillion on fire this week, and Bernie just wanted a measly $500 million for healthcare for all.
Right. Yeah.
And then they just maybe we'll
Well, I
swing
mean,
that way.
of course, Bernie's healthcare plan would have cost a lot of money, but yeah, like you just said, I think it was something like $7 trillion in the stock market last week, just disappeared
On fire.
on
Gone.
fire. I mean,
the wealth is gone.
I'd rather Bernie Sanders have been, you know what, I'm going to steal $7 trillion from the stock market and then give everybody healthcare.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think that's what a lot of young voters, especially the people I've talked to, they're like, well, what do I have? I can't buy a house. I can't afford healthcare.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean, I went through
like a car. You can't buy a car now.
You can't. Yeah.
The tariffs are going to make the cars go 50% more high.
That $19,000 brand new Kia you could have gotten a couple of years ago is now a $50,000 luxury car. I mean, there's no. I mean, this is insane. It's literally insane. And the billionaires, including Elon Musk, by the way, who is today and the last couple of days attacking Navarro, which we're all like, oh, the worst person you know is makes a great point.
Actually, right about something.
Yeah. Is attacking Trump's trade secretary, or you know, whatever his official title is. So we're seeing the richest men in the world going, bro, do you even understand capitalism? Because if you just literally destroy this house of cards that's granted, you know, held up together by toothpicks and tape and whatever, but if you destroy this, all of our worth gets destroyed as well. I mean, if you have a bunch of people coming after us with pitchforks and torches, you know, and they can't afford anything, you're kind of hurting us too.
Yeah, well, and you know, like you said at the beginning of this thing, the tariffs are imposed, or they're self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah,
we impose them on ourselves.
It is like a tax on yourself.
You can't. Yeah, you're basically saying, I want to raise the price of Kia cars. That's what I want to do. I want to make it more expensive for Americans to buy a Kia. And why? Because you don't like China or wherever they're from. I don't know if they're Taiwanese or Japanese or whatever. Right. That's the only reason. I mean, and then I think that a common response to that amongst the right is to buy American, right? But in a lot of cases, the value's just not there.
Well,
I can buy something that gets me most of the way to the product I want for dirt cheap from China. Right. I can buy a pair of boots from China, and they might not be the greatest boots, but they're going to cost $7 whole. You know what I mean? And they're like, buy American. I'm like, my brother, American boots at the cheapest are like $200. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. And you saying that to the American people who rely on this cheap crap are like, they can't afford that. They're just not going to be able to.
So I heard a great interview this morning on Democracy Now! With I'm going to forget his name, but he's part of the union for American auto workers, right? And he said, listen, I'm not opposed to tariffs. I understand the point of tariffs, but like, you want to do tariffs right, impose a tariff on companies like in China, for instance, that are violating human rights, you know, that are violating workers' rights. You know, you want to do it that way, I get that. But, you know, the thing that we're doing right now, where we're imposing tariffs across the board, if you want to pretend like Trump and his trade advisors have a brain, their point is we're doing this tax to, like you said, force Americans to buy American, but we're not even producing some of these things here yet. There's not factories that are kind of suddenly be able to break ground now just because of these tariffs. That's not how it works. It's not like
Right.
I imposed 104% tariff on China, so that means that some American company is just going to be able to, they're going to see like, oh, there's a need now because we're paying double that, so I'm going to create a factory in the United States, hire American workers. First of all, that's going to take, you know, 5 years to a
4
decade,
years.
seriously. But not only
Yeah, I
that,
feel like
you've also made it insanely more expensive for them to even break ground on
right.
building that factory. So
Right.
it's just there's no plan. There was no, well, it was so clear there was no well
No,
thought
no,
out
no.
plan for this that I mean, somebody's going to get fired. The dominoes are going to start to fall. Trump, of course, is going to stand his ground and say,
Yeah.
this was the liberation day. This was the greatest thing we've ever done, whatever. And when he rolls them back, he's going to blame other people and or just say we did it, like we won.
Yeah, he's gonna claim success. He's gonna do the George Bush. He's gonna have a big banner that said "Mission accomplished."
Right, totally, yeah. And we beat China on tariffs, and the rest of the world is going to laugh at him. The Trump supporters are going to go, we did it, and everything is going to remain expensive for a very long time, and until things start hopefully ever settling down again. It's
and the Dow's gonna be down 4,000 points.
right. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know when the futures numbers start coming out, but I can already imagine tomorrow does not look good.
It's gotta be just a wrecking ball.
Yeah, the futures index already right now looks down. Dow will open, as of right now, the Dow will open tomorrow down 500 points. That's as of right now. And so that should continue in the wrong direction. Now, I will say, obviously, as a person with a little bit of privilege, I have a 401k. I have lost almost 6 figures this year in value in my 401k. And it's not done yet. This is going to be a huge hill for me to climb, but don't forget about me. And I understand there are a lot of people that don't even have a 401k. This kind of thing doesn't affect them in that way, but it affects them in other ways. But there are also people in their 50s and 60s who are nearing retirement who, this
has got to be terrifying. This has got to be the scariest thing they've ever lived through.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there are people that
I remember hearing, just because of the age, a lot of my parents and their cohorts were retiring, between like 2005, 2010, and 2008 was the scariest thing that they'd ever lived through. The tech bubble burst,
right?
In 2008, stock market dropped, crazy. The housing crash came along with it.
I mean,
this is like that, but just because he wants to impose tariffs.
It's just he created
this. It shows no signs of slowing.
He created this out of thin air. This isn't COVID. This isn't something that he just woke up in the morning, chose violence, and then here we are. So, but anyway, if you want to laugh while we're all going down, at least we're all going down. It also means Tesla is down 41.5% year to date so far, which is just hilarious.
It's I think it really speaks to people who aren't online. They're not online all the time like we are. They don't understand Elon Musk. They only see the persona that he had put out over the last 20 years, which was like this, Iron Man, Tony Stark, like Asperger's, but really genius, because that's just how they like portrayed him in the media, and he held himself. I think a lot of us fell for that for a long time. And the more you actually spend time reading what he writes on Twitter or listening to him talk to people who challenge him on any issues, just in general, the more people are like, wow, this guy is a real piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first book I read where I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'll say I kind of fell for it in very, very early on. Like, who is this guy? Yeah. But I will say my spidey sense was tingling, always tingling with him. And when I bought my car in 2020, I unfortunately own a Tesla that I'm still trying to get out of. I even then knew, man, I don't know about this guy, but I've always I fell for the car. I fell for it. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the future. Nobody else was doing it better at the time. I wanted an
Right.
electric car.
No, I'm big enough to admit that I completely fell for it. I thought, man, I really like what Tesla's doing. I think electric vehicles is a way to a greener future. I think that it's an American business, and they were fighting and upending the dealership stranglehold that we have here in California, but in other states as well. And I liked a lot of it. I bought into that, and I sort of associated all that stuff with Elon Musk, the figurehead. And then as we see more and more of who he is and what he stands for, I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. I have been so duped.
Yeah. And that's the problem, right? For Tesla right now is that everybody's still associating, because he still is the CEO of Tesla. Everyone's associating. Now you drive a Tesla and it's like, okay, you either have a bunch of stickers on your car now that say like behead Elon Musk, or, if you don't have any of that, you're assumed to be a Nazi driving a Nazi car. So it's really it's crazy, and unbelievable that Tesla and the board of directors aren't trying to figure out a way around that, because he's still going through that stuff with Tesla where he's trying to get like some ridiculous multi-tens of billions dollar payout or whatever, while the stock is crashing. Not just because of Trump, but also because of the things that Elon Musk is doing. I mean, this podcast will never be financial advice. I would short the hell out of Tesla right now if I were in that game. I know there's a ton of shorts out there. I know shorts get hurt. It's a very risky game playing in stock options, but that stock is on its way to zero, because not only can regular MAGA folk not buy a Tesla, but soon people that could be able to afford a Tesla, that used to be able to afford a Tesla, won't be able to afford one anymore either.
Right. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
You obviously, again, this is not a financial advice or a financial show to begin with. I mean,
I don't know what we're doing.
I wanted to ask you, because I ran across this when I was researching for the show notes today. It was talking about how Tesla, as a publicly traded company, and the claim they made in this article, I'll try and find it so I can include it in the notes, was that the Tesla stock is by and large held by retail investors, as opposed to, which means like people like you and me on Robinhood, as opposed to like hedge funds and like big mutuals and things like that. So the first thing I want to ask is, how would they know? How could anybody know that? Like, is that a thing that's known?
It is a thing. It is a thing that's known. It's around 40%. It's not a majority share, right?
It's not a majority. It's just very large.
The majority is
40% is a huge portion of that stock holding. It's retail investors. There's they have to be somewhat like insulated from full dropout, because these guys are the people holding this stock are people who just like, I love Tesla, I love Elon Musk, whatever. I have 3 shares of it. You know what I mean?
Okay. That's definitely not the 43. That doesn't make up the majority of the 43% at all. That's probably a very, very slim majority. I think the majority, I think the majority of the 40% of retail investors are, and I won't call them day traders, but I'll call them, fly by the seat of your pants traders, who are, they're part. This is all, we could go into a whole other episode just on, and maybe we should at some point if politics ever slows down, but there is a real problem in retail investing that these types of people can swing a stock wildly and cause panic for, we can talk about GameStop at some point.
That's kind of what I'm getting at here, is that they were this article is drawing a similarity between like Tesla and GameStop in terms of just like owning it kind of like as a meme stock. Like you didn't, maybe you don't care about the company or anything about it. You're just kind of doing it for the memes.
But those people, those people do three shares, 5 shares. That's $1,000 for these people that want their $1,000.
Not anymore.
But my point being, those people get scared easily, and they're not long-term investors. They will if that thing hits 190, which it's on its way to, those people are out. and then it's 170, and then shorts are cashing in, and you know what I mean? So
and then that'll breed more skepticism and more people.
So it's the institutional investors that used to kind of be in control of whether, a stock took that kind of a hit or not. It used to be the
Warren
Cathie
Buffett's
Woods, of ARCs and the Black Rocks and those type of people.
Yeah.
But now it's and by the way, BlackRock, I know BlackRock is a big shareholder. I think it's Vanguard and BlackRock are big Tesla shareholders. They make up basically the other half of the institutional investors, and they're playing those long positions. But now it's the retail investors that have more power than they do, which would never used to be the case.
No, that's the other thing, is that if the retail investors get spooked, like you say, then they can completely tank that share price.
Yeah, and you're seeing that already.
Institutional investments.
I mean, I dabbled in the, we used to have a little financial channel.
Yeah, we used to play in stocks.
And we used to, and I'll say that I was a buyer sometimes of Tesla. I mean, but I was not a day trader, but just like I don't care. I'm going to play with this $1,000 or whatever,
Right. Or I know that Robinhood introduced, I don't remember if this was last year or the year before maybe, but they introduced the concept. I guess they probably didn't introduce the concept, but they implemented the concept of fractional shares. Because of these big meme stocks where they were like, it's $220 a share, people aren't going to break the bank to hold 5 shares of Tesla. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your average retail investor, but you could play like a long position with some short amount of money by doing pieces of that,
right?
Like fractions.
Yeah.
I don't want to dig into Tesla stocks or financial trading or anything like that for too much.
No, it's fun to talk about. Go ahead. What do you
do want to talk about Elon, because I just hate him so
much. Okay, what else you got on Elon? I have something. I think you wanted to talk about this story that I'm pulling up.
That's the one.
Okay, look at this piece head. So this says, I'll read the title and then you can explain this to us. Path of Exile 2 players bully Elon Musk during eerie airplane stream. What does this mean?
So this is again related to the story that we were talking about a few episodes ago about Elon Musk being just the saddest, most pathetic person ever. He very clearly does not know how to play this game very well.
Right.
But he has like a top 10 ranked account or heroes or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know how that system works, but
yeah.
But basically there's a leaderboard. He's on it as one of the best, and he routinely will do streams of him playing the game, showing that he doesn't have very core basic understanding of the game.
Okay.
He was doing this live stream from his private jet, and he was doing this to try and show off Starlink's ability to maintain like signal while you're even in the air. You're on the plane and you're going to have Starlink providing you Wi-Fi.
Right.
Which is kind of a cool idea.
Yes.
But there's players can be in this game with you at the same time, and they started sending him messages that were showing up in his stream in the chat, and they were just berating him, like telling him that I mean, just awful things. You can scroll down if you really want to see it, but
all right.
You have no friends and you'll die alone, from the person named Elon is a pedophile.
That's pedophile.
This is going on live while he's playing this game so poorly. And then like at some point, the Starlink thing that he's trying to show off as a part of this starts acting up. And so it makes his gameplay even worse. Like he's not playing well. And now he's like dropping packets and like losing positioning, and it like rolls him back with lag spikes and stuff. And people start making fun of him for that. And eventually he just cuts the feed. He's like, I'm done. And then that's it.
The weirdest part of the stream, however, was Musk's wordless, dead-eyed stare throughout the whole break. Those beady eyes are he's a freaky little man. Something happens to a man when he turns into Elon Musk,
Yeah, no, it's clearly broken him. Being Elon Musk is too much for Elon Musk. But I like the final sentence of this write-up here. It says, as for what Musk did in Path of Exile 2, he lost several hardcore characters, then quit when the connection got bad and he died to a tutorial boss.
Wait, so he lost hardcore characters on the stream? That's
Yes,
amazing.
yeah. And so for anybody who's not familiar with games like this, like Diablo or whatever, a hardcore character is one that you roll up with the gamble ostensibly of if you die, the character is deleted. That's what
it. He's dead forever. Yeah. There's no.
And so he
Wow.
lost a bunch of hardcore characters, and he died to a tutorial boss. And people are like, you don't play this game. You hire people to play this game to get you into leaderboards. You play that character they built for you on your stream to be like, look at me, I'm the best. And you just clearly suck at it.
Is there, I mean, okay, I'm going to have to watch this. I'm going to just have to have this on in the background at some point because this sounds just.
It's too delicious.
It's incredible.
It's the type of hubris that Elon Musk deserves.
It's such a strange thing. So let's go back a little bit to like you saying,
yeah.
We both kind of fell for Elon's thing, several years ago. And it's true. I think a lot of people did. He had the opportunity to kind of build off of that and pretend at least to be the Einstein of our generation, right?
Yeah. He could have hired a PR firm to literally just work on his image.
Right.
And keeping that Tony Stark-esque, nature that he built up around himself.
Right.
And instead of doing that, he decided, I'm going to let everybody see me, more of me, exactly as I am, uncut.
Right.
And
find out you're
right. And then this is what you do.
Hey, I mean, what we're all realizing, something that I realized when I was unfortunately very young, is that nobody has it together. We're all just humans in this thing. Mm-hmm. And the people who have the money and the power, they're no different than us, just with money and power. Right.
Right.
And so, I mean, Elon Musk is just a regular guy. He is not brilliant at everything he does. And the fact that he needs to pretend to be brilliant at everything, to be the best, like, come on, man. We know nobody has 80 hours a week to be the best Path of Exile 2 player, except for the people that are doing only that. You're not doing that,
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's weird.
And it's just, it falls apart so simply.
Yeah. Like, I mean, who are you going to fool? I mean, he's fooling people. But it's
as with all everything, in fact, if you do something and you put it in front of the public and you're like, here's the thing, and you make a claim like, I'm one of the best, or this is in our case, we work in tech, you'd be like, this is the most secure thing that's ever been built, or whatever, claims you make. The public will take it upon themselves to swarm on that and prove you wrong.
Right.
and it's,
we see cases of
and
that
unless you are like, they do it with people who are. Let's think about it this way, right? Let's say Elon Musk was the greatest genius who ever, whatever. If you're like LeBron James and you go on TV, you play basketball, and you're one of the best of all time, you just are. It's hard for people to argue against that. They can be like, well, he's a little he's a little self-centered. He doesn't pass, he takes showboaty things. He gives up on what
Jordan did it during a time when, whatever. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's still one of the best. And there's nothing you can say that really does anything to that.
Yeah.
But when the public start picking you apart with that same like level of like people staring at it and thinking about it and working on it, and you're not the best at it, they just make you look so blatantly stupid by doing that.
It's true. It's true. Okay. That's enough about Elon. Let's go on to kind of our final, I think, collection of things. So I first want to talk about, I want to talk about one of the worst attorney generals we'll ever see, hopefully, in Pam Bondi, who said something, we of course, I mean, not hard to call it. We called it when she was nominated. This is going to be very, very bad. She came out recently. She was asked out in front of the White House, I think this morning, about the Maryland father who was wrongly deported to El Salvador. She said, to say that he was training to be an electrician does not legitimize him for being a violent gang member. So again, with no proof and no due process, she's just making the statement. A man who cannot defend himself because he's no longer in the United States. He's in some prison, with Lord knows what's happening to him.
A slave labor camp.
She's making the claim that he was a violent criminal when I think it was pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that he's not. And it's also
even if he is, why should the government not have to prove that?
Right. They still should have to.
That
yes.
Why are we just accepting of that?
Right. They should still have to prove
if you say that I am a violent criminal and deport me, I should be able to defend myself.
Right. You can't just say that, right? Like, and these are lawyers. These are lifetime lawyers. They know
the thing I want to point out is, like, if this was a white person, what happens? The whole country goes bananas, right?
Right. Yes.
So
right.
They think they can get away with it because it's a person of color. They just don't care.
Right.
Right.
And
but what they're saying is, we can do this.
Right.
Even if you're white, we're just going to call you a criminal and deport you if we don't like you. And it really opens itself up to that scary idea of thought crime of, like, what if you're just, a white kid who went to college and came to one of these protests, right?
Right.
And they just banish you.
They just disappear you.
You don't get a court case.
Right.
You don't get to defend yourself.
Nothing. Your parents don't know where you are. Your wife, your husband, your whatever don't know where you are. I mean, this is insane. So what we saw yesterday was a lower court, lower than the Supreme Court, said that the Trump administration had until midnight, which would have been today, midnight last night, to bring him back. And then this quickly went to the Supreme Court, who paused the order requiring Trump to. Oh wait, I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong story. But the Supreme Court paused the order that told the Trump administration that they had to bring him back.
Right.
I have the wrong story in front of me. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
this is we doing it live. This is what we'll do it live.
Yeah, weirdly, there are a lot of cases in front of the Supreme Court that involve Trump and his illegality. So I'm not surprised you got a little caught up on that one.
Yeah, sorry. No, I'm blaming you for this one.
No, is it the one there that the Supreme Court allows Trump to deport people under the wartime law?
Is it still there? Is it here?
It's just off to the right, I think.
It's off to the right.
Like in the, that one, right?
Yeah. So maybe? It's probably this one. Here it is. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Okay, so this is an important one, just so we understand, because again, none of us on the podcast here are lawyers. We haven't been trained in law. We don't know it. But the court ordered a pause on the stay, which just means, I think that's right. Which just means that the Trump admin, who was ordered to bring back the person by that time, means they said, okay, you don't have to do that yet, but the court needs time to walk through this and figure out if that's even, remediation that is legal, A, and B, has that person any rights under the law for that to even go through. So they're at least thinking about it now. And the pause only means we haven't denied that order. It's not been turned around. It is, we're trying to get the facts right, and then we'll deliberate. We'll come up with the actual outcome later.
Right.
I don't think that has a good chance, because in this particular case, I would have expected that even this Supreme Court should have seen deported without due process, legal American citizen at the moment as a no-brainer. Bring him back.
Bring him
American
back
citizen. You can't deport an American citizen with no due process. That seems like bring him back.
It should be bring him back while we consider, this, not leave him there while we consider this.
Right. And again, no crimes were alleged. So there's not, even if you brought him back, what would you hold him on?
Yeah, so
what are you doing?
That's the point of this statement that Pam Bondi made earlier when she said, it doesn't just because he was trying to be an electrician doesn't mean he wasn't a violent gang member. You fools already said that you had made a mistake with him.
Yeah.
Now, don't
right.
pretend like now he's a violent gang member. You already
Right.
admitted, the administration already admitted that that this was a clerical error. Okay? So what are you talking about? Violent gang member. So do we have dates? Do we know like what the next steps are for this?
I don't think that there's anything concrete on the docket yet. I think that they're going to have to figure this stuff out, but I'm not a lawyer, man. I think that what I do is I follow Democracy Docket, which I recommend for all of our,
definitely.
listeners
Yeah,
as well. And then I get on the Docket Listener that posts any filings that happen on these court cases, and I just keep an eye on them. And if something drops, I try and figure out what it means. But I don't know what the next step is. So
okay, I know. So there is a group of 25 senators, Chris Van Hollen, and 24 other senators to demand that the administration comply with the original court order to facilitate Abrego's return. Obviously calling it a violation of due process. That's kind of where it is right now.
Right.
Government lawyers, let's see. So John Roberts temporarily halted the order, right? The lower court's order.
Right.
Government lawyers and Abrego Garcia's legal team have to submit responses by 5 p.m. today. So, in fact, that was probably Eastern time.
So
within 10 minutes, responses will have hopefully been filed, and we'll see what the next steps are. I mean, oh God, man! What's crazy is this case is so insane. I don't even have updates on Mahmoud Khalil. I don't have updates on the Tufts student who was also vanished. This isn't the only case. There are so many like this of people who've been disappeared wrongly.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because the only standing that they have on these things, obviously, if they wanted to deport people who they believed to be in criminal syndicates or whatever, there are mechanisms for doing that are legal, but it involves putting them in court cases and having to argue the facts. What they're doing right now is really just abusing the Alien Enemies Act and trying to get away with this blank check of I can deport anybody and I don't answer to anybody and they don't get due process. And the law's 200 years old, so who's gonna, who can argue that?
Yeah.
There's a simple solution here. Obviously, Congress could come and amend that law.
Oh, right.
Luigi's busy. He's standing a court case of his own. But no, I mean, if let's say you had the favorites of Democrats, you have some, reaching across the aisle to work with the other party, you could pass legislation that amends this law to make it clearer who is really subject to this and by what processes they must undergo. You could change the law to say if you're going to deport somebody using this statute, they must hold a criminal trial or a civil trial. It doesn't matter which, but just you can write that into the law. Make them defend themselves.
Well, you can't write anything into the law that seems like a violation of Trump's ability to affect national security. And because that's what he's saying for literally everything. The tariffs, national security, this national security. I can't, I have to win if I don't win my golf championship at my golf resort, that's national security. So, I mean, I do have an update, by the way, on Mahmoud Khalil, if anyone's interested. As of today, Judge James Comins in Louisiana has ordered DHS to submit evidence supporting Khalil's deportability by tomorrow, Wednesday, April 9th. And then the hearing is Friday, April 11th, and the judge will decide whether Khalil should be released or deported based on evidence submitted by DHS. So they have 24 hours. The judge gave them 24 hours. They show up on Wednesday, April 9th with that information, hearing Friday, April 11th, and then Khalil gets a decision. He's either staying or getting deported. So we'll be following that closely. Set your clocks to that. And then, I also want to do a update on the tough student, but I have to.
You got to find that. I'll squeeze one in while you're looking.
Okay, you squeeze one in.
This is breaking news as of a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Order in the Associated Press. The case where they wouldn't call it the Gulf of America, so they got kicked out of the press room and off Air Force One and stuff. So they sued, and that lawsuit has a conclusion of the defendants shall immediately rescind the denial of the AP's access to the Oval Office, Air Force One, and other limited spaces based on AP's viewpoint when such spaces are made open to other members of the White House press pool. So they're ordered back into the press room, which is good. You want the AP there because they can't whitewash their reporting quite as hard. It's a civil case. There's not really much you can do about it. As I understand it, this sort of thing can't be appealed in any way. We'll see if Trump's administration follows the court order.
Yeah. Who wants to be the AP journalist, by the way, that is like, I'll try.
I'll fucking do it. Send me. I'll do it.
Unfortunately, I don't have a good update, or I can't find a good update on, I'm going to butcher her name and I'm so sorry. Hopefully somebody can correct me on the pronunciation. Rumesa Ozturk. I think that's, hopefully that's close. I see the last, was that a federal judge temporarily blocked her deportation, obviously citing jurisdictional concerns and other similarities.
Was she the one that got just banned on the streets?
Banned on the street with the masked thugs outside of Tufts in Massachusetts. Yeah. And because she co-wrote, not even like, oh, we think that Khalil was like engaging in violent protests, which he was not. She co-wrote an op-ed in a student newspaper.
Right. She's like just a grad student here on a visa or something like that.
Yeah, she's here legally.
I don't know.
She's here legally.
She's here legally, but but obviously saying things that the government doesn't like.
Right.
So the government's
it was pro-Palestinian speech, whatever that means. The government saying it's pro-Palestinian speech. What's wrong with that? What do you mean?
Excuse me. Did they say because I guarantee they didn't say pro-Palestinian speech. I guarantee I know what they said.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
They had to have said pro-Hamas, right?
Yeah,
it's the only thing that they got going.
I don't know. We'll have to look at the documentation there.
Check the tapes.
Okay. So we got one more thing. You wanna end on something kind of funny, something a little silly? Maybe we can do that.
Give me something silly.
How about I'm gonna pull up something a little ridiculous here.
Bring me something a little silly here.
Marco Rubio's security detail boss arrested after alleged hotel brawl. Dude, as I understand it, was mad. They were in Brussels, and dude was mad because they closed the hotel bar.
It's even worse than that.
It's worse than that. Okay, tell me.
He was traveling in advance of Rubio and his team staying at this hotel, so they're doing normal security
sweeps and all that stuff, right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And so he's drinking in the hotel bar, and they inform him that it's closing time.
Yeah.
You don't get out.
Right. It's closing time. Everybody knows what closing time is.
Yeah. We don't have any witnesses here, but I can speculate. And then he's like, you know who I am? You know who the fuck I am?
I'm sure.
The bar open for me. Yeah. And that's how it started, and then it apparently turned into an altercation.
And so he was disappeared at.
I got to Marco Rubio's picture. I just want to look at him for a little bit.
Which one?
Marco Rubio.
This guy.
Oh yeah, there we go. Look, look how happy this guy is.
He looks so happy.
He look like this is the face of a man who is not at all sad about the decisions he's made in his life.
He's been saying some pretty awful stuff, man. Though, get this guy in front of a camera and let him talk. And God damn, he a lot of people are like,
He's
hey, he
selling
would have
the-
been better than Trump, and you're probably right. You know, probably anything would have been better than Trump.
Right.
But this guy is scary in that he is I don't want to say eloquent in his speech, but
No, he's political. Yeah.
you know,
No, we know
he's
what you're saying. You're saying he talks the talk of a politician.
yeah,
He
but
can
his
spin
speech
words
is
in a
scary.
way that
Yeah.
But what he's saying is demonstrably horrible.
Right. Yes.
No, I think we all hear that. So that's why I like to look at his face like this, because he looks so sad, and that makes me very happy.
Well, he's like Elon.
A lot of these people should suffer a lot.
He's dying inside.
You got a picture of Elon over there on the right. He also looks sad.
They're dying inside. I don't know if ketamine makes like one of your eyes start to droop lower than the other one, but that seems like something that's also starting to happen to Rubio. So I don't know if that's your soul leaving your body, like escaping your body, or if it's the ketamine or what it is. But it's some matter of whatever cocktail you need to survive as the shell of a human being that you are is probably what makes you look like that. I mean, remember Ann Coulter kind of going through the same thing, you know, all of the Laura Trump going, you know, I mean, you see it happening to all of these people. So anyway, wanted to end on that kind of ridiculous note. Mike, you got anything else for us today?
There's I've got 40 more stories.
Oh no, forget it. We don't have time for that.
We just don't have time.
We just crossed the hour mark. You can only give the people an hour of us a week, I think.
No, I know. That's the funny thing, is that we like to talk about everything that's happened in the last week since our previous episode. But honestly, most of the time we're talking about what's happened this morning. Because that's just all we have time for.
Yeah. And today, all we learned really for today on this episode is that Trump can count past 100, and he's learned that percentages can go past 100. So he's going to have to count to 1,000 tomorrow again, because that's when what the stock market is probably going to be down at the end of the day. Yay! All right, everyone. Hey, thanks so much for being here. We're talking about doing a live show. So if you'd like to see kind of us in this format right here, do a little bit more of a live show, an interactive live show, maybe on Twitch or on YouTube, for an hour, maybe another day later in the week, like a Thursday or whatever, something like that. If you'd like to see something like that, drop us a note, leave us a message on Blue Sky, drop us a note in the comments on YouTube, like, subscribe. What other actions should they take, Mike? Is that
all the algorithm things?
Okay, Mike
share
and
with your friends.
We
send us to your mom.
Right, send us to your mom. That's a weird request. Mike's got to get back to Tren de Aragua. I think he's got more work.
I've got a lot of stuff to take care of.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff to take care of, and then I got to get back to my Nazi car, and we're gonna call it for today. So thanks everyone, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Thanks everybody.